JIBRIN Angle on Oweleke TV. My name is JIBRIN and this is my angle. We have today our regular and special guests, Barrister Austin Manta and Mr. Segun Onibio, a journalist. Manta, everybody you know Barrister Manta, he is a lawyer and a current affairs analyst as well. Segun Onibio also is a senior journalist in the profession. Some of you may know him. So we shall be talking about the events that took place in the last 1 week or more in Nigeria, and several issues will be coming up on this show. And yes, we shall talk about the topic as we go. Actually, we shall list the topic as we go, unlike before, where I just list everything on the go. Yes, let's go into the nitty-gritty of what we have today. Barrister and Onibio, thank you so much for joining us again this day.
It's always my pleasure.
It's a pleasure being here.
All right. Let me start with the journalists in our midst. We need your input on this. Now, we've had you people were, I think you were among, okay, let me not go into that, implicating you. The thing is, how the protest is done, right? It's supposed to be for 10 days, right? Okay. All right. So can we take a stock of what actually happened from the first day to the 10th day? How did it go? Can you give us a rundown of how things went? How successful is it? How viable was it? Was it worthwhile? Was it actually worth indulging in? So we need the general analysis, probably just break it down, just summary actually, not details. Give us a rundown of how this protest went.
All right. By and large, it was a fruitful one, because at the end of the day, the protesters had the it was generally a very successful one from my angle. Or not until the boys who joined in the whole exercise turned it upside down. I'm talking about the hoodlums who took advantage of the protest to start to foment trouble. It was quite unfortunate that some of them were, took it upside down, and at a point decided that they were going to start to fly the flag of the Russian flag, like you saw in some of the videos, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Generally around Nigeria, it was peaceful, except of course for the usual thing that was expected, the killings, particularly in Kaduna, in Zaria, somewhere in Jigawa, in Katsina State, in Kano. Sokoto were also involved, and people were shot in those places, and fatally shot. Some were injured, and a lot of other people were arrested. I can confidently tell you here that those people that are arrested were hoodlums who were milling around, trying to use the opportunity under the cover of the protest to rob people, particularly in Kaduna State on Ahmadu Bello Way and some parts of Banawa. People were being robbed. People who thought, okay, well, they could go about their businesses or probably just go get one or two things somewhere and return back home while the protest was on, were robbed. Some of them were robbed of their valuables, phones, monies, and so on. And some of these hoodlums decided that they were going to go into shops. A lot of shops were looted and the properties were stolen. But that side, the protest itself achieved its aim. Why? Because it got to the federal government that addressed the nation. Although probably some of the items that were listed by the president were not things that people were expecting to hear, because it seems like the man continued from where he stopped and continued to campaign. But by and large, he said he has heard the protesters loud and clear, and all of the items that were listed as part of their grievances will be looked into. You could see that ministers were beginning to come out to explain to people that, oh, XYZ is being done, we are doing this, and so far, so good, we have done XYZ. Notable Among some of these activities that was attended to is the removal of custom duties on imported items into the country. The customs CG had to come on to speak about it eloquently, and people who were also around him also came in to also give in their input. So from my end, I would say it was largely successful. Unfortunately, the part that was, well, not unexpected happened, the hijack by the hoodlums and the flying of those the Russian flag while the protest was going on, and the looting, and of course the killing. I have a picture of an incident in Kakuri where someone who was in a house taking a lunch with her family had a bullet graze on her knee. I'll send the pictures to you, they're quite gory. And of course, the Inspector General of Police, in his usual character, came out and said, no, he has no record of any policeman shooting anybody. But of course, they were caught on tape, and it's recorded. We have eyewitness record of a police brutality while this whole protest was going on. So by and large, it was successful. As far as I'm concerned, the government has listened, and of course, they're taking action based on some of the things that were listed by the protesters.
Well, thank you so much for that rundown. Yes, Barrister, let me ask you, what do you think? Are you on the same opinion? Are you of the same opinion with Segun that largely the protest was successful, or you have a contrary opinion that, or what's your thought on that, rather?
Well, on some issues, I'm on the same page with Segun, particularly on the fact whether the protest succeeded. I would say it was a success in terms of people coming out to express their opinions, to express their anger against the government and its policies. But I would disagree with him on the issue whether the protest achieved its aim. I don't think the protest achieved the desired goals, but that is not to say that it was not successful. To me, I look at the protest as the beginning. I do not look at this phase of the process as an end by itself. I look at it as the beginning of a process to hold our government and public officials accountable. And my feeling is that the organizers should go back to the drawing board, draw lessons from the protests, and prepare to launch further protests. Because from the speech that the president made, he considered nothing. As a matter of fact, he ignored all the demands of the protesters. He did not talk about the subsidy, petroleum subsidy and others. The issue of removing import duties on food items to be imported. I have mentioned here that that is counterproductive. That is going to ruin our economy. We don't need foreign foodstuffs to be imported to Nigeria. And I will repeat, the problem is not scarcity of foodstuff. It is the price. Go to any market, you see foodstuff everywhere. You see rice, you see maize, you see everything, you see beans. It is the price that is not subject to the capacity of the average Nigerian. We do not need to be importing food. It is the policy that made the price to go up that should be changed. Now, if you now open the borders, reduce tariff on importation of food, what is going to happen to our local industries? Those who are investing in rice production at the local level, you are ruining their business. So that policy is extremely counterproductive. It will further ruin our economy at the expense of foreign suppliers of or local foreign makers of foodstuff and the local importers who are importing to make profit. It's not going to benefit us. And I asked the question before, except you want to subsidize the foodstuff that you are importing, will the price of those imported foodstuffs be less than the price of the ones we have in Nigeria? And if you are going to subsidize the import that you are doing, it's double tragedy. You are removing subsidy from one thing and subsidizing in another. And at the same time, the subsidy, who is benefiting in actual terms, in economic terms, is the people producing the foodstuff abroad, not Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
And we should not be subsidizing consumption of foodstuff. We have foodstuff, we have land. This short-term measure is not necessary because there is available foodstuff in Nigeria. So going forward, let me insist that the organizers should go to the drawing board. Nothing tangible has been achieved with this protest. The government has heard the protest, but the organizers must take this as a stepping stone. They should learn lessons from it and going forward, prepare for better protests, the ones that will really bring the government to concede some of those demands, not just say we have heard, as the president said.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I think yes, you and I have talked about this in the past. I was actually critical of this issue of food importation as well. So I don't see any light coming from that angle. So I think I am with you on that opinion. And yes, in my own opinion, I don't think anything. Okay, you said nothing tangible. I don't even see anything I don't see anything that I can actually pinpoint to say, okay, this thing was actually a good result, a success from this protest. Because the truth is, I criticized. I was very critical of the focus of the protest. Because when you are on negotiating table with either an adversary or a partner, you have to be on the offensive. And when you place yourself on the offensive, you place yourself at the advantage level. And when you are on that position, we eventually get a better deal in that negotiation. And that was exactly what the protesters didn't actually project. I expected one voice and one demand. And that demand should be Bola Tinubu must go. If this had been the song of the protest, if it had been the focus of the protest, I am telling you, perhaps Tinubu could have been threatened. At that juncture, he will be compelled to actually giving better concessions, doing something better. But at the same time, honestly, I do not expect magic to come no matter what. Even though Tinubu chooses to do something, what could he have done? Honestly, nothing. Based on what we have right now, the record we have of the economy and the debt that is upon Nigeria, everything, the budget, everything, you just can't do anything. The Bible says when the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? The foundation, Tinubu has laid, okay, he's not the one who laid this foundation, but at the same time, he entrenched this same foundation. So I'm going to be blaming him because he didn't start on a good note. And he's not doing anything on a good note. So there is nothing, I did not even expect anything from him. Now, that being said, the protest, honestly, as I've always said, any protest that will bring change in Nigeria, it will be spontaneous. It will be organic. It will not be an organized protest. It will just come, nobody will see it coming. Anything that is organized, we all know how many billions this government spent to circumvent this protest. We know what happened. Even the protesters or whatever, the violent people who try to hijack it, I bet you, if you people, especially if you investigate it, you will understand that even the violent protests, the protesters, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, some of them, there are some of them that I am somehow, either by proxy government agents, government proxies, sponsored those things to actually dent the image of the protest. Sort of to make it for people to begin to regret why they did it in the first place. So that is just my point. On a general note, honestly, I don't see the protest as anything worthwhile. Unfortunately, some innocent Nigerians, hardworking Nigerians, I watched some videos. I think some of them, Shegun forwarded the videos to me, and I got some videos from other sources or whatever, where you have common man. There was this lady who they looted her, a struggling lady, for God's sake, who just worked hard to actually achieve the little she had. And these hoodlums actually just broke into her house and stole everything or whatever. And honestly, I pitied her. And when I looked at that, I wish I could have I have access to that lady, because I was emotional about it. I felt so pity for her. I sympathized. I really pitied her, honestly. So the thing has actually rendered some people a kind of in a very bad state. That's the unfortunate thing, honestly. So overall, it's the protest, in my own judgment, though, that is my personal opinion, it's yielded very little or no success at all. Okay, let's move to the next topic. Barrister, this Russian flag, Shegun has been hammering on that. First, let me ask you the legal from the legal question there before I go into the real question. Is it illegal for someone to fly a foreign flag in Nigeria?
Let me first talk about my own understanding of the issue of the Russian flag in the protest. Remember that the issue started in Kano.
Yes.
Before it came down to Kaduna. The first place where the Russian flag was flown during the protest was in Kano. Then in subsequent days, it manifested in Kaduna. My own understanding, and I believe the issue is being overflowed, and the issue is something that the government want to catch and use, because they, on the government side, want to use anything to suppress protests. But I think the issue has been overflowed, has been overstated, because the rationale, if you know what's happening in Mali, in
Niger and Burkina Faso.
Niger and Burkina Faso, these three countries have their governments overthrown and are ruled by military rule, and they have expelled Western forces, US and French forces, from their territory, and they brought in Russian support in all the three of them. And you know, the northern parts of the country have affinity with Niger and Mali. And the people who are ruling there are young.
Barrister, sorry to cut you short. What I expected was, I asked you a specific question. I expected a specific answer. What is wrong? Is it illegal for me? Let me use me as an example. For me to go to Nigeria and fly a foreign flag, either maybe as a tailor.
It's not. I was coming to that, but since you want a direct answer, I will tell you it's not illegal. It's not illegal to hold a foreign flag in Nigeria. So it is, how is that reasonable to fight under a foreign flag? Those are different things. I can hold a Russian flag or American flag in my office. I can hold it on my person. It's not reasonable. But acting against the Federal Republic of Nigeria under a foreign flag is treasonable. So you will now choose to see the protesters holding the foreign flag. Were they acting against the interests of Nigeria? That is the question. If you decide that while holding the foreign flag, they were acting against the interests of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that would be treasonable. But if you come to the conclusion that it was symbolic, we have freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is not just in word. It can be in graphics. It can be in mementos. It can be in writing. It can be by way of speech. It can be by way of holding a photograph. These are all part of freedom of speech. So it is a legal issue, a technical issue, whether holding a flag. But I can tell you, I can put a flag, a Russian flag, in my office on my table, and that will not be treasonable. That is not illegal. But the actions I take under that flag, if they are against the interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that becomes treasonable. So I want to make that distinction. But for the government, morally, it shows lack of nationalism. It shows lack of patriotism, but it's not criminal. Let's get that clear.
All right. Before I say something, let me ask Shegun. What, when you saw that the flag, the Russian flag or flags being flown around across Nigeria, what was your thought? What came to your mind? What actually did you think was in the mind of those behind it?
All right. For me, like the barrister said, I think I have a clearer picture of the issues now, because I kept asking the question, what about people who fly flags of other countries in hotels and in schools, and people who hang some foreign flags on their cars? Would that amount to being unpatriotic, or probably that they have anything wrong? But with the explanation that barrister has given, there's nothing wrong with it, but except, of course, if you follow it with a message. If you listen to the boys who were flying who were carrying those flags and marching with it, they kept saying in Hausa that it is the military that we want. Now, people, the attention was divided. Why? Because people were saying, is it the military, the Nigerian military that they're talking about? But holding the flag, of course, and by proxy, with the explanation that the barrister has given, knowing what is happening in neighboring countries around the north, if they are saying that they want the military, are they saying that they want a coup in Nigeria, and they want a coup that would bring in the Russian government so that they would, whatever it is that we have now, will be washed away? So what came to my mind was insurrection. I don't think it is right. I think it is within our rights for us to protest as Nigerians, but I don't think it is within our rights to call on another country to come. I don't know what it is that the idea would be, to take over the government, topple the government of Nigeria, like they did in those other countries where they occupy presently, which was not said. The only thing that was said is we want the military. They did not say that they want the Russian military. They said they want the military. So my thought would be that they want the Nigerian military to take over, because that is what they kept saying. It is you, Kumu Keso, it is you that we want. What came to my mind? Insurrection. For me, it is wrong. That is not the approach for this particular protest. That is not how to press home your demands.
Yeah, but that's my point. What do you expect when a protest has so many, the focus of the protest has an octopus direction, that it is directionless, just all angle, whatever. What do you expect?
It is not directionless. You said something earlier on that I want to key into.
All right.
You said that you are absolutely sure, to a certain extent, to a certain degree, that there are people within the government who infiltrated the protests. And I agree with you 100% because I knew that when they saw that it was going to be difficult to control people, they kept coming out. If you've watched what happened in Kaduna, in Abuja, and in Kano, and some other northern parts, you would notice that people were the crowd keep growing by the day. The first day was a bit not too that electric. But the second day, a lot of people joined in. Taxi drivers were joining in. Every other person was joining in. They were parking their cars and joining in. By the third day, it was so loud and almost wild. But we knew that these things would happen. Even if you're speaking with one voice, we saw it happen during the NSAS protest, where people came out and they were protesting and they refused to leave the grounds where the police had said leave. They said they were not going to leave. What did they do? They imported thugs. And I can tell you authoritatively from here that some people were also paid, just like this particular protest. Those people that you see that were withdrawing from the protest were not just withdrawing because they wanted to withdraw, or probably because they thought something good or bad or nasty would happen. They withdrew because they were being paid. Some of the groups said that they have submitted whatever it is that is their grievance to the president. They expect him to act on it. So therefore, they're not participating in the protest. But a lot of people, some of us went on to participate in the protest, not because we expect that the governor or the president will change overnight. No. It is to put him on notice, to say, look, we know that you are doing this, and we are capable of also doing what we're doing now and doing it massively. And that was why I said, once you put it in a particular direction, it is easy to shut you down. Very easy to shut you down. The only aspect that I don't support is other people coming out to now drive the narratives in a different direction. People are talking about the general anchor for this protest is hunger. And you saw people come out. But I don't see the relationship between hunger and you looting people's property and attacking innocent people who are probably standing by and watching, or dragging people to come join your protest. It is wrong.
All right.
So,
all right. Thank you so much for that. Now back to Barrister. We are still on this Russian issue.
Allow me to emphasize a point.
Yes.
We keep trying to separate protesters from hooligans. Don't forget, this protest is by Nigerians. The hooligans are Nigerians. The protest is not limited to any particular set. There's no group called protesters. Nigerians were asked to come out and protest. And the hooligans who came out are also Nigerians. So you have to view this in the concept of mob. When a mob is operating, they don't even know their own anymore. They can even act against their own members of the mob itself. So look at it from the point of view of a mob going into action. So some of these things, they are inevitable. Once you call up people to come out and do mass protest, it is already a mob. And some of these things are to be expected. And back to the issue of the Russian flag, what I wanted to emphasize is that for me, I saw it as an attraction. People were attracted to what is happening in Mali, what is happening in Niger, what is happening in this other country. So they are attracted to it, and they wish that something like that happened in Nigeria. They wish the military young military officers have taken over these three countries. They wish something like that will happen. And then going further, and don't remember, it's not Russia that instigated this. Those people are young, patriotic people. It's only after they took over and they had problems with the Western forces that were in their country. They challenged the French military. You have been in our country for so long. Your military is here. Why have you not solved the insurgency? So they could not answer. So they say, we will expel you. They expelled them. They expelled American forces. American forces have been in charge for more than 20 years. Their headquarters. They are operating in Niger. They have not stopped the insurgency in those places. So these people saw no reason why these people, and they expelled them. And then they called on Russia to help them. A lot of people in the north have family over there. They are seeing what is happening. So they were attracted to that. It was an expression of that attraction that started the issue of this Russian flag. But the government has to use it because they are looking for something to quell the protest. And even to ridiculous extent, you know, there are 6 Polish nationals that were arrested, I think, in Kano, as being the sponsors of the Russian flags. That to me is somehow ridiculous. If you know Poland, Poland is our enemy, is the NATO, is an enemy of Russia. And within the Eastern Bloc, Poland is the spearhead of NATO against Russia. So to come here as a Polish citizen and instigate the flying of Russian flag does not make sense to me. So the only way I look at it is the way people sympathize and admire what happened in this thing. They wanted to show off. So we should not exaggerate that issue. However, the way it ballooned from a few flags, Russian flags in Kano, it ballooned into so many flags that even tailors were arrested for showing the flag. But of course, if you are a tailor and somebody in this hard condition that you are protesting hunger and somebody brings a cloth to show a Russian flag, will you not show it? I will show it and collect the money. After all, we are all looking for money to eat. What has the tailor that sold the flag done? He has not done anything criminal. But the government needs to hold something to use against the protesters, use oppressive means and say, look, some foreigners are sponsoring this, they are sponsoring the overthrow of the government. I think it is an exaggeration. For me, that's the way I understand it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry to cut you short. Yes. Now, let me come in here. I agree with you, Barrister, your own from your own angle, completely, because that is just a picture of it. Nobody was actually inviting Russians to come take over Nigerian government. No. I think it was just they just wanted something that took place in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali to actually happen in Nigeria as well. As we all know, these 3 countries are doing well. Their economies are doing well now. These 3 countries are doing well. The military is taking the military juntas that are in charge in these countries are relatively doing well. Niger has been rated now as one of the fastest growing economy in the world since this was after the military took over. So that is just, I think that is what those Nigerians, whoever they are actually talking about. Where they're not saying Russia come take over. No, nobody is inviting Russia to take over government in Nigeria. That is just the reality. These 3 countries, they, just like Barrister said, they actually did it. They decided to do this themselves, and probably they thought, because usually, yes, as a country, you should always have a superpower behind you, and we have the West as one part of the superpower, and we have Russia and China on the other side of the superpower. So these 3 countries just believe the West have not done well so far after several decades. So why don't we try someone else? So when they took this bold step, because of course the West is they are the godfathers of the democracy. So they knew quite all right that the West would not be in support of this. So they probably, and Russia is someone, there are countries that they don't impose their ideology on you. They don't impose their idea. What they do is they just come in for mutual interest, sort of. So that is the way Russia acts, unlike the West, I've always been very critical of. The West always, when they come to the table, they want to impose. They come with all the giant strides. They want to impose their ideas, their ideology, their policies on you. Russia does not work that way, sort of. So we will come back to that because I made a video specifically for this. I think about 30 minutes or thereabout video, and I was very, very frank. I was very raw, very unglued. Yeah, said my mind. I think I will mirror or re-echo that same opinion on this show today. Now, let's talk about this issue of military takeover. Of course, people were protesting. We saw video of it. I think Shegupo sent me some, and I don't know who forwarded some videos where you see the military working together with the protesters. They were actually working, and I saw one brigadier general who was in charge of the troops or whatever was actually having a kind of a dialogue with the protesters or whatever while they were hailing them and asking them to come. Asking them to come take over government, a sort of. So, Barrister, you and I have discussed extensively on this show, on this matter. So I know where you stand here. You know where I stand there, but I'll still ask, based on the latest development, what do you think about the current? Now, remember, during the Shagari regime, administration rather, we never, even though Shagari administration, everything was going haywire, it was going south, just like we have today. Today is even 100 times worse than that Shagari time. However, but that was what actually brought in the military. Things were going south. Shagari government was directionless, just like what we have with Tinubu government now. Shagari government, we did not know who was actually in charge then. He was the president, but we have other powerful ministers like Umaru Diko or whatever. So, and so many other people around him in the kitchen cabinet that were powerful. So everything was going south. But at the same time, when the military took over, before the military took over, we had no such protests. We had no such clamor for military to come take over. The military, in their own wisdom, let me use that word, wisdom, they decided to intervene because they knew that things were going south. So they intervened. Unfortunately, excuse me, we all know what happened thereafter. Now, but this is a different scenario. People are literally protesting in favor of the military now coming to military taking over. People are now no longer shying away from me. People are courageously they are making this public now. So that means that there is an obvious sympathy or support for the military. So, Barrister, what do you think of such support? What do you think of such clamor? Do you think it is cogent? Do you think it is worthwhile? Do you think it will be timely for military to actually take over?
Well, my view on military takeover has never changed. But let me say that there is no military takeover that does not have an element of civilian incitement. There's no single military takeover that is purely a military affair. It is always in conjunction with some civilians inciting the military to take over. The only difference this time is the ones you see are coming up in the public in form of masses to call the military to take over. In the past, you have highly placed civilians inciting the military to take over quietly behind the scene. But now you have masses coming up and saying, we want the military. Having said that, my position on military government has never changed. I have to distinguish a military government from a patriotic military government, because a military takeover for the sake of military takeover will not lead us anywhere. We have seen military rule in Nigeria that helped to put us in the position that we are today in Nigeria. As of today, the top echelons of the army are enjoying as much as the politicians. So you can virtually discount them because they are having good privileges today, just like politicians are having. The issue is, we have mentioned Burkina Faso, we have mentioned Niger, we have mentioned Mali. If we get a military government that does not aggregate to that, it will be a complete disservice, and it will make the situation worse rather than better. So I'm always cautious to talk about military government, but I have been very clear that we are practicing a fraudulent democracy, and the criminal enterprise that is, or criminal mafia that have been ruling Nigeria in the form of democracy, I have no confidence in them that they will take Nigeria anywhere, because we have seen their antecedents, we have seen the policies. And I think there is an adage that says that the morning will show how the day will be. So if you do not make the hard work that the government does to produce good fruits, it's not there. We see it from their policy, we see it from their extravagance, we see it with from the way they spend our money recklessly. We see it with their resistance to accountability. We see it with the way they want to treat ordinary Nigerians who come out to protest. So when you see all these things, I discount the possibility of taking Nigeria forward under the current regimes or under the current atmosphere. But I'm also very cautious of rushing to say military government will be better, because I do not know the kind of military government that will come. It could even be worse than the civilian government. So let's be very cautious. But whenever there is a very patriotic set of Nigerians, be they military or civilian, they will have my support.
All right, thank you so much. Back to Segun, before I make my own comment. I know, of course, most journalists, I've yet to find a journalist who ever support military government. But at the same time, I keep asking them. Now, because number one reason, I think if not the only reason why most journalists actually are critical of military government, is this issue of freedom of press. And I usually ask them, in Nigeria, do we really have that freedom of press? Because why the military do their own forcefully and give you commands, hey, don't do this, you must not do this. The civilians, they don't do that. They first of all give you carrot, dangle carrot at you, and when you reject that carrot, then they'll just come for you and full force, a sort of full. So what is the difference between the military when it comes to the freedom of press, between the military and the civilian government? In Nigeria, though, in other developed or civilized clime, you have different scenario entirely, but we're talking about Nigeria right now. Because if civilians does exactly what military does, but in a different form, what makes it different? A sort of. So this brings me to my question. What is your opinion about this clamor for military to take over, Segun?
Well, we all agree, at least to some certain extent, that the kind of democracy we're practicing, especially in Nigeria, does not favor Nigerians, and it doesn't favor growth. What we see are a bunch of people who are competing against each other to find a way to get to power and, of course, decide for themselves how the country will be run. And this is not This is not strange. Why? Because as it is, as a country, we don't seem to have a direction. We don't seem to have a policy that says this is how Nigeria should be governed and this is the direction to which we are going. The reason why anybody would want a military government is because the military government seems to be more decisive. They seem to be more focused on the drive and where they want to go to. What is it that you aim to achieve when you take over government? It is to, first of all, ensure that everybody is on the same page, driving towards patriotism. Then, of course, finding the right people, getting the right people with disciplined mind to take over and, of course, run the day-to-day affairs of the people. When the government of Buhari and Idiagmo took over in 1983, the trust of that government was discipline. That people are not disciplined and people embezzle money. And of course, if people are disciplined, that all of the things that we see would not happen. Unfortunately, a lot of people will tell you, economists will tell you, that our economy was ruined by that government then. Why? Because they don't seem to have a grasp of how the economy should be run, which was one of the main drives of the country. Then the lifespan of that government was cut short by the military junta under IBB, the man that was called Maradona, who would give you a little and take so much. And then at the end of the day, it became the order of the day for us. I think we are still finding it very difficult to understand ourselves, to understand the kind of government we need to operate as a people. People will tell you that democracy was forced on us, but what is it exactly that we actually want to do? Because you must find something that is peculiar to you, that suits you, for you to be able to move ahead. While you were coming up with this idea of JIBRIN's angle, I'm sure you'd have toyed with a lot of ideas. Well, how do I have this program? Am I going to have a town hall meeting where people will call in? Am I going to just have panelists who sit down and I will roll out my ideas? There will be so many ideas that will run through your mind before you concluded that, okay, this is how I'm going to start. Then from here, you expand. I don't think as a country we have that kind of plan. And that's one of the reasons why when everybody comes, they tell you, oh, look, this is a departure from the government that you used to know. And this government is going to do X, Y, Z, and they're going to do this and do that. Then at the end of the day, you find them doing what they said the other people were doing that made people vote them in. I am not against military government. I must tell you authoritatively from here that one of the governments that I think that has served Nigeria better were the military government, especially as bad as Abacha was. Abacha did so much for not just for Nigerians, but for our economy. A lot of people will disagree with you. Yes, he may not be the best. He embezzled a lot of money, looted money, and siphoned money. But we had one of the strongest currencies when he was president. The policy thrust of the government may not be going the right way. They may not be going the way Nigeria needed to go. But he looked inwards and he was beginning to build people who could export things outside this country because he didn't really rely on foreign countries to help develop his country. Why? He may not have so many friends, but he decided on his own that, look, one of the best ways to run this country was to look inwards and help the country develop on its own. Until and unless we find that right kind of style of government that suits us, we will continue to have these people that we have around who will come and tell you they are the best and their policy that you're a capital.
All right. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I think
okay.
the network is acting up.
Yeah, well, that was an interruption, but go ahead. I think I can hear you now. Finish up, please.
Okay, fine. So until and unless we find that right kind of style of government that suits us, we need to really sit down and
all right. I think Shegun is having issue with his network. Okay. All right. Let me take it up from there. From here, I think you've made your point actually. All right. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Okay. Basically, it's safe to say that none of us on this platform, none of you, both of you especially, are objective of the military government. The only thing is just what we are actually, what you people, just mirroring what you said so far. What you desire is for Nigeria to be better. That is just it. Whichever way it is ruled or administered, the essence of that is just for us to get a better Nigeria. That is it. Okay. On that note, let me take let me make my point here. The truth is that from day one, I have never been a proponent of democracy. I have never been. There was never a time in my life. That's just the truth. Even I remember I was among those who were excited when Buhari took over again took over government by force from Shagari in 1983. Then we're so excited. Went on the street to jubilate actually. I've never been. Honestly, for so obvious reasons. I think I wrote an article some few years ago about this in support of the military. Why I am actually in support of I prefer military government than the democracy. Now, one of the reasons is just what you walked around it earlier, Shegun. The thing is, democracy is not just this is not who we are. If you go through African culture and traditions or whatever, the way we were ruled is more of the traditional way, the monarchical way or whatever. That's why I am one of those people who are so critical of how we have actually relegated our traditional rulers to the background, sort of, because these traditional rulers used to be the kings of those days, sort of. So they were the rulers actually. But today we have relegated them to local government level. So to the extent that it is only a local government chairman. In fact, they are now under local government administration, which is very, very, to me, it's a slap on our faces, sort of. So democracy to me is it's a Western idea. It's a Western way of doing things, sort of. And this is, in fact, this topic is something I can spend hours talking about because I have so many angles to it. Why I think democracy is not just who we are. So that is just, it's a Western, like I said earlier, the West, wherever they go, they want to bulldoze their way through to the system. They want to force their way through to the system. That is the difference. That is why I rather deal with the Russians than deal with the West. Like that's not the truth. That is the West wants to impose their ideas on you. They want to impose their principles, regardless of environmental significance, differences, sort of. So they just bring in their ideas and they want to impose it regardless of your beliefs, your norms, the norms in your system, sort of. So that is a problem. Unlike the Russians, they always consider themselves an equal partner in anywhere they go. They believe in give and take, sort of. The West does not believe so. The West is by default they consider themselves as the bigger partner, the senior partner in every negotiation, and as such they come with a whole lot of demands here and there. They just give you a little and take so much out of you, and even the little they give to you, they want to teach you, they want to guide you, they want to direct you on how to manage that little, sort of. They want to be involved in how you manage that little, and that is why anywhere you see the West, any country in Africa where you see the West being in charge of their policies, guiding their policies, go around, do your investigation. Those countries are not doing well. They are not doing well economically. They are not doing well security-wise. They are not doing well in so many facets. And so that is it. Then go to the countries where you see Russians. Russians having interest there as against the Western interest. The countries are more that, and that is why we are having this issue of these three countries now doing well, a sort of the Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They are doing well there as a result of multiple factors, probably a couple or three factors is in play, a sort of which Russia is one of the factors, because Russia is they consider themselves as equal partners wherever they go to. They are negotiating. They see themselves as equal to you. All they need is give me and I take and give me too. That is a two-way street. So that is the way it should be. A sort of so, and that is one. That is why countries that are being supported by Russian not Russian policies, rather Russian partnership, they seem to do better, because the Russian policy is to allow you to do your thing. Why they are giving you, they don't want to, unlike the West, they don't want to, Russia does not want to be involved in how you manage that, what they give to you. What they give to you, the moment you agree, okay, take this and give me this, that thing they gave to you, they don't want to be the one managing it. You are independent, you'll be independent of of their input. So that is just the way they, and that's why they wherever they find themselves, those countries seem to be succeeding, sort of unlike the West. So you talked about Abacha. Honestly, I am of same opinion with you that Abacha seem to be, I think I would consider him the most patriotic military government in Nigeria then. He was actually very patriotic. He was against the West. We all know that during Abacha regime, the 5 years of Abacha, he never traveled out of the country. He never traveled to the West. No, I think, I don't know, I can't remember. He traveled to some African countries. Yeah, he never traveled to the West. He sort of he didn't travel to any part of the world, whatever. So because the West was critical of him, they were against him, and he was against them, and that was why they were critical. In fact, Abacha, first of all, he was the one who sowed that seed of, I don't like you guys. You guys are our enemy of progress. So we don't need you here, or whatever. So there was this body language and his policy that was against the West. So the West, by default, also retaliated by not liking him as well. And that's why I think they took him out. They were the one responsible for his death, sort of, because Abacha, honestly, why he actually siphoned, he stole so much money, but at the same time, I believe, yes, no human being is perfect. I'm not happy he stole that money. I was critical of that, sort of, because that greed was just too much. However, he performed better than people like Babangida, who stole money, who didn't do anything. During Babangida regime, there was a lot of corruption. All those fraudsters were on rampage then, and so many bad things. Abacha came and kind of cleaned up, tried to actually clean up. During Abacha time, I remember during Babangida's time, there was this issue. That was when 419, this code 419 actually started flourishing. It flourished. It got to the peak actually. Abacha was the one who destroyed 419. He came in, and I remember then when he went on ramp, all those 419ers were everybody went underground, and everywhere was insecurity. He quelled insecurity, and he quelled corruption. Yes, corruption. There is crime on the area of financial crime, sort of. So he didn't tolerate. Look, honestly, just like you noted, Abacha actually did a lot. That is just it. He actually did a lot. So back to my point. I honestly, I prefer 100%. Like I said, I've never supported democracy. I prefer military. And in line with what Barrister Manta said, a purposeful, patriotic military takeover is what I desire. Honestly, purposeful in the sense that, okay, just like what is happening in these three countries we mentioned, they are doing well. These are young officers, especially this Burkina Faso officer who is so I think about 32 years of age, so he's doing very, very well, sort of, for his country, so patriotic. He's not living large. is living in a very prudent, his lifestyle is so prudent, so judicial, so judicious rather. So the thing is, honestly, what I desire most or more for Nigeria is a decide, because I say democracy can even work for us, because the layers of government in democracy makes it difficult for even a very good president to do well. This is not this is a different topic for another day, because it's a very expensive topic. There are so many, democracy is super expensive, too expensive for Nigeria. We are highly indebted. And this our level, the level we have gone deep in debt. The only thing that can actually pull us out of this debt is a military government, because democracy as it is today in Nigeria is extremely, overly expensive. It's out of place for us to be able to, no democratic rule, no democratic governance can actually bring us back. I am telling you, only a military, a very patriotic and purposeful military government can actually, that's the only avenue Nigeria can actually get out of it. It's not just one factor. That is number one factor. Second factor is we have to eliminate the Western interest in Nigeria. That Western interest is killing Nigeria. It's killing Nigeria. It's killing so many African countries. We need to take that Western interest off. We need to, after the military takeover, Western interest must be eliminated. Then we should have, for protection, for national protection, probably we should have a deal with Russia, so that at least one superpower to be to be behind us, in case of anything, so that no one can bully us. So that honestly is my point on that. So if Abacha could do that to an extent, what we need is someone who has Abacha's credential, but minus the Abacha's greed for corruption. The moment we can have these two things going for us, I think that Nigeria will be better for it. I don't know. Before we move to the next topic,
I want to add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, we have there's a lot of, we have been harangued, and there's a lot of propaganda. So much so that the average Nigerian has come to regard democracy as the end in itself. Democracy has never been the end. It is one of several means to a fair and progressive society. So there are elements that underlie democracy, the absence of which will make it impossible for that democracy to be really democracy, or to bring about the development that is desired. One of which is an enlightened electorate. The second is a good economy. And the third is the absence of divisive factors like religious and ethnic divide. All of these are lacking in Nigeria. We don't have an enlightened electorate. We have ethnic and religious differences that have been brought to the highest level that compromise the ideas of democracy. So it is not going to be the vehicle for us to achieve development now and in the near future. That is why you find me calling it fraudulent democracy, because the elements that should make a proper democracy, that should bring development, are not there in Nigeria at all. We have only a self-serving and thieving political class. And once you have that one, there's no way that that democracy is going to translate to real development for that society. Then you now have to juxtapose it with the other form, military government, monarchical system, and all these other things. So people have come to think, and America and the West have harangued us so much democracy, as if that is the end. That is not the end. It's just the means for us to achieve development. But we see that it's not working.
Not working.
The 20-something years that we have tried it, we see that it is not working, and it's not going to take us to the promised land. On the other hand, it has brought us to the precipice. It has almost brought us to disintegration. So the earlier we sit down and reappraise how we govern ourselves, the better for Nigeria and other developing countries that have the same issues that we have. I do not have any confidence in the democracy we are practicing or any other democracy because of these factors that are prevalent in Nigeria today.
Yeah, thank you so much. You are right on point. I think I agree with you on that sort of. So let's move to the next topic. We read, I think Shegun was the one who was the first person who forwarded this breaking news to me, that a legislator paid $1.7 million to be made a committee chairman for petroleum and downstream sector. Barrister, I don't know, did you read this? Did you hear this news? Have you read this news?
I've heard the news.
Yeah, so what
for me?
Yes, when you read the news or when you heard the news, what came to your mind? What is your thought about this?
I've heard the news, but for me, it is not strange. And it didn't come to me as a surprise.
Hold on.
Because
sorry, it didn't come to you as a surprise that, no, of course, like me, I know definitely this committee chairmanship, actually something changes hands. There's no doubt about that. But for that, you were not surprised that a whopping $1.7 million, that means I pressed my calculator, that is over 2.6 billion naira, was paid for someone to be not the president of Nigeria, not the Senate president, but a committee chairman. Barrister.
I repeat that I was not surprised, because if you go into the nitty-gritty and understand what is there, you will understand why there is that kind of fight and there is that kind of commitment. We are talking about petroleum that is denominated in dollars, in billions of dollars. So what is $1.7 million? Now, look at what happens in the National Assembly, whether the Senate or the House. Why do they fight tooth and nail for choice committees? Because the better committees you get, the more money that you can make. If the National Assembly, by constitution, have what we call oversight functions, and it is supposed to be in the national interest, we have made laws. Let's go around and see how the ministries, the parastatals, the government, public officials have carried out these laws, or what is happening there. But the oversight function is with a view to making law. That is what has always been overlooked. The National Assembly's power to oversight is a view to improving on the law. But what happens in Nigeria, it has turned into an avenue for self-enrichment. If the committee is coming to your place, believe me, they have what is called zero budget. If a committee is coming to your establishment, you have to prepare, you that is in charge of maybe the managing director of a petroleum company or this thing that is a government one, you have to prepare so much incentives to that committee to avoid a situation where the National Assembly will give you zero budget. So if, no matter in theory, in Nigeria, no matter your performance on the job in your parastatal or your company where you are the MD, you will not get a favorable report if you do not take care of the members of the committee dealing with your sector. Now, that is one side. There are other things that are put in the budget. These people, when they put and build these projects in the budget, they are coming to your establishment, to your company, to your parastatal, to share the loot with you, the budget, the projects that have been put in that place for you. They are going to share the number of contractors they are going to provide, the number of contractors the MD will provide. And it's always a disproportionate sharing, which is in favor of the National Assembly members. A smaller percentage is left for the establishment management to take. So it is, coming back to what I said before, it is a looting structure. It is not for the benefit of the country. It is self-interest, self-aggrandizement, self-enrichment. This is what drives the committees. So if I'm in the National Assembly and I cast my eye, I look at one of the choicest committees is petroleum, I will fight tooth and nail, not just to be a member, but to be the chairman. Because as the chairman, if I pay that $1.7 million, I can recover 10 times more than that from my oversight functions, from the contracts I will influence, from contractors I will bring to do projects, from so many avenues that they have oversight over. So it's a question of investment. The Igbo man will say, this is my investment. So we will look at it from that angle. If you don't look at it from that angle, you have not got it right.
All right.
So you look at $1.7 million as big money, but the man is looking at what he will get in return when he gets that position will be several times more than that.
All right. Thank you so much. Anyway, my own is not about, I'm viewing it from a corruption level. This is one of the reasons why I hate democracy. One of the several reasons, actually. You can imagine how expensive it is. Now, if a common committee chairman can actually pay this much to make, of course, that means, just like you said, it's going to make probably 1 million times more than that as a return. Now, what do you expect of the Senate president himself, the Agapatapata of the Senate? If a common committee chairman can make such kind of money from just one sector.
Please don't forget, let me give you the example. Do you remember Farouk Lawan?
Yes.
Who collected
the finance chairman? Yes.
Over $500,000 from Otedola then.
Yes.
So, and you can just take that as an example of what these committees they make this money. So also the fighting for it has to be with money.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yes, I remember Farouk Lawan, who was a finance committee on he was at the House of Rep level. Yes, right. I think House of Rep level. Yeah. He was the financial chairman committee. Now, to Shegun, what now? The person who I need you to enlighten me on this, please. I need information on this. I remember this man who bribed the president. Who bribed the speaker. Is it speaker? Yes. Come on. We're talking about House of Rep, right? Or Senate? Sorry, I forgot. It skipped my mind. I think I read that news. Shegun, are you there? I can't. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Is it House of Ugo Chinyere, this man that we were talking about? I remember when he was contesting.
House of Rep. It's House of Rep.
House of Rep, correct. Yes, this
House of Rep.
Yes, Shegun, this question is for you. This Ugo Chinyere, Ikenga or whatever, I think he made his name during the campaign season when he was in the. I think there was so much controversy around him, to the extent that he was I think, almost assassinated, went into hiding or whatever. That's the same person or whatever. I don't know. This is, it should be, you know, did he come from PDP? I think he was contesting under PDP then. Did he come to APC? How was he able to get actually this kind, even though he bribed his way? Is it possible for, I don't know, I've not heard of that before. I don't know if it is possible for an opposition party to chair a committee in the National Assembly. How was he able to, did he come from PDP to APC to be able to have his way as the chairman of to a committee, or what? And how was he able to get to actually, how do you think, where did he get this kind of money from? Yes, I understand he may be a businessman as an Igbo man. Where did he get this kind of money from? Shegun.
All right. The story actually was following the news. Immediately that information came out, he also came out. Ugochinyere is one of the men that is I can vouch for, that I know is forthright and a member of the lower house of assembly. You see, it's a power tussle. A lot of people, just like you are puzzled that he could be in opposition and be a chairman of that kind of committee. It is actually a committee that is set up to investigate the issues that are surrounding the NNPC, the fraudulent activities of the NNPC. And I must tell you here that what is going to come out of that committee report will shock Nigerians.
Oh, hold on.
As I'm talking to...
Sorry. So, oh my God. So maybe you could have been the one to take this first. Now you are informing me probably I was wrong or we were wrong. So this is not it's a kind of ad hoc committee to investigate a corruption, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
His job was, it's like a disciplinary committee that was set up, and he was made the chairman of that committee to find out the activities of NNPC over the years and what is going on with the NNPC, why we're having all of these problems that keep emanating from the NNPC and all of that. And you see some certain characters within that committee. This is just off record now. Some certain characters within the committee are trying to sabotage the efforts of that committee. I'm reliably informed that some of them were trying to take money from some of these NNPC people to see how they can rubbish whatever reporters is going to come out, because already it's beginning to dig up some files, and it is beginning to expose the people who are at the top activities that took place under Buhari and even extended into the Tinubu regime. So that particular report that you saw there, we were discussing it among some editors and bureau chiefs, and they said, look, a lot of people were saying, oh, despite all of these guys' clean garment and everything that he's talking about, anti-corruption and everything, that he's the champion of corruption and all that. Now, Ugochinyere said within the next, I think it is 7 days, that he has given to that particular member who said that he paid that amount of money to be included in the committee to come out with facts, or else he is going to sue. And probably the protest didn't let us follow up the news again. And now that we're even talking about it, I'm going to ask, because there are some journalists who are already digging up information about the person. I heard that the person has been trying to meet with Ugochinyere to see how they can die down the story. Not to say that these members don't pay, if not even more than that, to be a member of such committees, like you have rightly attributed here, and the barrister has also expanded on it. You see, you need to see the kind of money that goes around, that is being passed around this committee members thing. You'll be shocked. Some of them don't even take transfers; they take the money as cash. I've been to an office of, I'm not going to mention his name here, who was paid, and he said, you know, those journalists there, you can't go bring money, come here. The money will then bring for me, no be bribe, now money for my food. Imagine somebody whose money for feeding will be in a Ghana must go. I'm not talking about the small Ghana must go that, you know, they go now, that you need to go. Maybe you need to check the markets and see what I'm talking about. A Ghana must go that can contain a human being. was brought to him, and he said that now money for feeding, no be make you no go take a bribe. You say if you go to bring money, come here. You don't know say journalists they here. You see the kind of money that goes around within these committee members will shock you. And like, I don't want to go back to what Barrister said, because Barrister has said virtually everything that needs to be said about how these committees are constituted and how the monies are being shared. From the top to the bottom, there's nobody that is exempted. And the reason why you find some of those guys fighting tooth and nail to be member of these committees is because of the largesse that come from it. They don't have to do anything. All they need to do is just, okay, this thing is 1 billion naira, put it at 3 billion. How do we defend? Nobody we did the committee. Come and defend it in front of us, we'll pass it. As long as half of that money comes to us. They don't even hide it. They will tell you are part of your procurement. When you see them quiz anybody, it is because the person has not gone back to give returns. That's when they will press the person's neck, and you see they will want to embarrass the person and say, come and explain how this receipt comes here. And you don't get to see any other thing after that episode that you see on TV, so that you don't think that they're not working. So it still goes back to what we're saying. The kind of democracy we practice in Nigeria is expensive. It is expensive, and it encourages corruption and thievery. A lot of people go in there not because they want to serve. They want to go there and see what they can make out of it. So that particular story has not even ended yet, because Ugochi Nyere has threatened to sue that particular person, his name, as being someone who has paid so much money to be a member of that committee.
Yeah, but if you say this committee was actually for the purpose of or is for the purpose of investigation, not the conventional committee, permanent committee we have in the House. So why would someone pay to be a chairman for a committee that is just for mere investigation?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Of,
it is it is not mere. It is not mere. You don't know what is going on.
The oil sector cannot be mere.
No,
the report they will bring is going to go places. It's going to affect billions.
Now, hold on. No, hold on. We say my logic is this. Now, this is an investigative body, an ad hoc investigative body, as against a body that is a permanent thing in the House or in the National Assembly, where it's a regular routine that you have to actually be always, you have to be permanent touch with the sector, the relevant sector, and you have a kind of, the relationship would be a kind of permanent stuff as long as you remain chairman. This is something that it has a time frame. Investigate this sector and get report back. Now, why will someone be willing to part with $1.7 million for an ad hoc, to be the chairman of an ad hoc committee that's not going to last that much time? It has a time frame. What will give you the guarantee that you'll be able to make your money? This is an investment. You have your return on investment. That's my point. So I'm trying to make sense out of someone paying that whooping amount to be the committee chairman. And as I always said, now I understand, because that Oweleke Television we mentioned about. Like I said, I got familiar with him during that election time, and I eventually found out that he was just like you said. Then I thought that he is actually a clean person. I thought that he's someone to actually look up to. I thought that he's going to do well in governance and sort of being among the good ones. But when I had this, based on initially I consider this as news and report, a cogent, a genuine and authentic report. But based on what you just said now, it obviously means that there is a 50-50 thing, that it may not be true that he bribed his way to where he is. If that is the case, what do you think? Okay, you talked about the fear, people's fear, but the members' fear for him to release, fear for that he will release, if he releases, so releasing some information that may be detrimental to relevant interest. Yeah, that is one. But I don't get it. I'm trying to get that logic of why someone will spend that whooping amount for a community, or to be a chairman of an investigative committee. How rich is this Ugo Chinyere to be able to do this? I'm trying to actually frame my question the right way, but let me take it that way. What do you think? Barrister, hold on. Shego, I'll come back to you. Barrister, I need you to give me an insight, probably, of what you think could be going on here. Ugo Chinyere, like Shego, and I think I believe him because I think I follow him for a while. I believe what Shego says sometimes, that this guy is a good guy. He's is someone that he can vouch for when it comes to being clean. So if we go by what Shego said, what do you think could be the reason behind the hula baloo around this whole thing? Why are they doing this? Why are they saying this? Why will he spend that kind of money? And if he did not spend that kind of money, why are they putting it on him?
Well, let me say that Ugo Chinyere, from the little I know of him, and I stand to be corrected, I think he was abroad, and he came to contest on the platform of the PDP in Imo State, and they are the people who fought Ozodima, who himself is super rich, even before he became governor. So for him to win the House of Rep seats in that place against a governor who sponsored people, who had the resources of the state, and who himself was very rich. He himself was well-to-do before coming to that. And he has been very vocal. I remember he led a delegation to River State to meet with Fubura, and it became a controversy in the House. And I think last week too, he led a delegation to, to meet with former President of Basanjo at Ota on some issues as well. So he has been in the limelight. Now, coming to the issue of a committee, whether ad hoc or not, both the standing committees and ad hoc committees are shared between the parties. The APC has majority, but there are also members of the opposition party that are also given committee chairmanship. Now, I'll just give you an example. There is an issue that $1.5 billion was spent, I think, in the last 3 years to revive the refineries, particularly two of them, Port Harcourt and Kaduna. And as we speak, none of them is on stream. They have given us several dates that Port Harcourt will start. It has never started. Today, they have given us another one. The timeline they gave us, the Port Harcourt refinery should have started last year. It did not start. Now, assuming a committee, the House decided to set a committee to go and investigate what happened to $1.5 billion that has been given to revive these refineries. You know, that is a very huge issue. That is a very big problem. And knowing Nigeria, you take it to the bank that a lot of that money will not go for the purposes for which it was allocated.
Okay, all right. Sorry to cut you short, because I don't want us to overflow this. We have to move to something else. Now, my point is this. If it is just meant for investigation, what is the rationale for someone like now I'm coming back to Shegun because since you vouched for this Ugochinyere, what is the rationale for someone like Ugochinyere to be appointed by the speaker to actually chair this ad hoc committee? If he is clean, is as clean as you said, you think the Speaker of the House, which we know quite well that he's a stooge of Bola Tinubu, and every stooge of Bola Tinubu is as corrupt as Bola Tinubu as well. So, do you think if he is that clean, that the Speaker would have appointed him to such a sensitive ad hoc committee that is actually there to unravel the mysteries behind all the crimes in that sector?
All right. If to be very fair to the speaker, the lower house of assembly has been one of the most vibrant of the two houses between the upper and the lower houses. To be very, very fair, because we have some very you need to listen to their sessions. You need to watch their sessions, their plenary, and listen to how people argue logically at their arguments there. The speaker does not seem to be somebody who is who can lord himself over those guys who are at the lower house. The people in the lower house are not like the senators that you have who say yes to Akpabio. Even Akpabio still have some people who don't say yes to him. That is on one side. On the second hand, you see, it is not up to the speaker alone to decide who is going to chair any committee. The leaders of the lower house or the upper house will have to take a decision and agree on within themselves who they think is best suitable to lead some of these committees. That is on another hand. And again, I don't want us to conclude that this corruption issue that has been raised is true. The way you're talking about it as if it has been confirmed. It is still a rumor. It is still a story. That's why Ugochinyere came out himself and said, look, this issue that has been raised here, this fellow who has raised this issue will be investigated. And if the person does not come up with proof that this happened, he's going to sue. And I just told you here that people who have been following the story said the man who made the story has been trying to reach out to Ugochinyere, probably to find a way to pacify him, to say, look, Oga, I was sent to do this. Because don't put away the place of propaganda and deceit out of all of this. When you are focused on doing a task and they know that you're going to do the task thoroughly, especially when you have found out some things that, of course, the committee members would know. And
do you believe
throw in the spanners?
Yeah, but do you believe this saying that goes in every rumor there must be an element of truth?
Of course, definitely. I agree. And that's why we have put Ugochinyere belongs to two or three different groups that I'm a member of. When we saw the story, we put it up to him and he laughed. And he said, you people are talking and acting as if you don't know who Nigerians are. When you are doing a good job, as you're presenting your program, now there are people who are watching and saying, this man is exposing too much truth. And they will want to find a way to shut you down. Do you know that the Minister of Communication is even talking now about regulating some of these programs that are not registered under CAC or probably that are the traditional means of communication? There are people who don't want these truths to come out. So I'm not saying absolutely that what the person has said is a lie. Of course, we've seen where people take Farouk Lawan is a very good example. Even Akpabio is a very good example. Didn't he tell us here that the people will find their goodwill messages in their emails after telling them that there's money that has been shared for people to. So look, corruption is going on in high places, and so is propaganda, lies, and deceit. That's where I want us to hang this on until we get to the end of it, because he has said he's going to sue. It was on national television. I'm going to dig up his speech on this particular issue and share it with you. And he has said that if the person does not come up with proofs, he's going to sue. For me, I think it's just a distraction. Something is going to be unearthed, and they don't want it to come to the fore. That's one of the reasons why they're throwing spanners in the works.
All right, thank you so much. Anyway, like you said, I think I have this. I don't know of now again, because I need this rumor to be clarified, because Nigerians, the moment you become a politician, it becomes a different ball game. I had the same view of you about this Ugochinyere too, because I saw him as a good guy who was fighting the powers that be when he was campaigning against the governor of is it Enugu State? Hope was Odimma also. Imo State, sorry. So anyway, we'll see where it goes to, and I hope it's not. My own problem is that there's still, the puzzle is still, we've not solved that puzzle, and that puzzle is what, because one, this guy is a PDP chairman, a PDP member. I've not read a report where that he decamped to APC, and how could he have become? How did he get to be the chairman of a committee as an opposition party member? So that is one. Secondly, that this guy is clean to the best of my knowledge, at least clean until proven guilty. The puzzle, because under this government of Tinubu, we all know that Tinubu is completely, totally in charge, in control of the National Assembly. Is there anyone among you, Barrister and Shogun, do you, any of you believe, have a contrary opinion from me that Bola Tinubu is totally, it's not a 50%, is totally in charge, or rather totally in control of National Assembly? Just a direct yes or no. Barrister.
I wouldn't contradict that statement.
Yeah,
Both
okay.
of them not the president.
Yeah, then what about Shegun?
Yes, it's a 50-50 thing. I don't agree that he's in total control, but I think he has some control.
Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. Now, honestly, I believe he has total control of it because, and that is how, first, he has total control of the leadership of both houses. He was instrumental to the appointment of these two leadership, both Abbas and again, for clarity, Abbas is someone I think I know not too well. We traveled to some countries in the past together. We on the delegation. So it's someone we have lodged in the same hotel, flew on the same flights together. We've been the 3 weeks we were together. We were relatively in close conversation. So I know Abbas. So I don't know if I consider him a friend because we're not that close. But the 3 weeks we were together, we were relatively in that delegation. We were closer. I was closer to him than any other member of that delegation. Then, so that's for clarity. However, one thing about me is I always say things no matter who is involved there. Now, like I go back to my point, Tinubu was if he was instrumental to the leadership of both chambers. And we all know how Tinubu plays. That if for you to be submissive, for you to be answerable to Tinubu, you must I don't want to use that word must, but it's a criteria. It's a yardstick for you, definitely for you to be corrupt. You have to have those tendencies. And if you are not corrupt, you cannot be. And as far as I'm concerned, the National Assembly, both arms, both chambers rather, are corrupt. And if they are corrupt, why do you think a speaker will want to appoint? I don't know if I don't know how sure you are, Shegun, to have said that that the speaker do not have total control of who becomes the chairman of such an ad hoc committee. I don't know if you are right, Barrister. Probably you have to weigh in on that. But I doubt that is correct. I think a speaker has that power to unilaterally. He can consult with people, but I think he has the power unilaterally to actually make appointments like this. These are appointments; they are not elective. So appointments like this, I don't think whatever. So that is it. My own point is, how do you expect? You see, what I'm driving at is, if the National Assembly is this corrupt, one way or the other, but Barrister agrees with me, Shego agrees with the 50%, but the bottom line is, we all agree, we're on the same page that the National Assembly is corrupt. So how do you, I don't understand. My point is, how do you expect an incorruptible to come out of corruptible? That is my point. In a nutshell, why would they appoint Ugo Chinyere if we believe in my initial thought of who Ugo Chinyere is, his pedigree, and what Segun told us that he believes he is? Why should a corruptible appoint an incorruptible to actually chair an investigative committee that will be the investigative committee on a corruptible sector? Barrister.
Yeah, you have to go back to some, the Speaker of the House, Abbas, was actually a candidate first of El-Rufai. Before it was El-Rufai that sold his candidacy to Bola Tinubu then. But it was El-Rufai that put him forward as a speaker, and he sold his candidature to Tinubu. Now, while they were there were other people who also contested, Wase in Plateau and this other guy in Kano. When the speakership is being fought for, the House breaks into several groups, several camps, each supporting a particular candidate. The group of Ugo Chinyere were the ones who allied with some members of APC to support Speaker Abbas to emerge as Speaker. So when you emerge like that, you cannot forget the groups that you went around with campaigning and who supported you to be Speaker. So you have to carry them along when the issues come, because they will still defend you when they want to remove you. They will still stand by you for you to enable you have that majority in the House as against the other people, because there's all constant jostling. If today now, as we hear, there are groups in the Senate that want to remove Akpabio. So there's constant jostling for these positions. So you need to maintain your support and your majority in these chambers that you have. So there are various factors that it could be, okay, you supported me, this is an opportunity, I'll give you this. It could be from an altruistic motive. I believe you are clean, you will give me a good report from this assignment. So I'm not discounting one for the other, but there are several reasons that somebody could be appointed chairman of ad hoc committee or even chairman of a standing committee. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Anyway, that will bring us initially the last topic. We have spent much time on this, so we'll move the last topic to the next episode. So we can't because last topic may take us another time. So let's not go into that. We'll be discussing that on our next episode. In that note, I think we'll be rounding up. Except Segun, you have any other thing to say on everything we have said so far, from the beginning to the end?
I'm going to still emphasize on the last topic that we discussed. It is not everybody who is in the National Assembly that is corrupt. I don't want us to go with that.
No. I agree. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I agree absolutely with you on that. Of course, we have clean people. But my problem, my point is the leadership, on the leadership level. At the leadership level, I don't think there is anyone that is not ready to play ball, that is not even playing ball with Bola Tinubu right now. Okay. That's my point. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. So the matter with Ugo Chinyere is still ongoing. What I suspect is going on is probably somebody felt he would have been made the chairman, and unfortunately, Ugo Chinyere got the nod, and decided, like I said, to throw spanners in the works. We will still keep it in view and continue to look at it. Then again, on the issue of our democracy, I think we still need to continue to emphasize this, that the kind of democracy we practice, we all agree here that the kind of democracy we practice is not the way forward for us as a people and as a country. And that's one of the reasons why people will keep yearning for a military government, whether right or wrong. They seem to be more decisive and seems to understand how to move forward better than these civilians that we have. Probably when we evolve, the kind of whatever name we're going to call it, democracy or militarocracy or whatever it is we're going to call it, that will carry us forward as a people. Maybe then we'll be able to move ahead as a country. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much for that. And I don't know, Barrister, you're posing as if you want to still have something to say.
I'm even my battery is even.
Oh, okay. All right.
My light has gone off.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Austin Manta is a legal practitioner of over 4 decades. For those of you who did not know him before now, so he's a very senior lawyer, very, very senior lawyer. And we have Mr. Segun Onibio, who is also a senior journalist, who has been very, very forthcoming with information with me. Honestly, I appreciate I appreciate him keeping me up to date with information, actually. So thank you, gentlemen.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being here.
All right, viewers, see you again next week and remain blessed.
Thank you.